crushed. Man, what a shot.
Hey everybody, welcome to HIT.OR.DIE podcast. We're here with your hosts, Jake Saldati and Chad Rothford, and a wonderful guest we have today. I'm sure he's icing his balls from last Thursday, from chafage, from dropping them on the ground.
We've been talking about setting this up to highlight the season they had, and it just so happened we could bump it up a little earlier than 2 weeks out. So Matt Fox, the head coach at Washington Union, thanks for taking some time in your morning on a Monday to talk with us.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate you guys having me. I remember when you guys started this podcast a couple of years back, what's it been, like 2 years now?
Yeah, 2 years.
Hearing Purse, Labby, Hirschkorn, Rupsich, all these guys that coach me come on, I'm like, man, if I can get on there somehow, I'll have made it as a baseball coach.
Nah, get out of here. Hey, well, you're
winning Valley this year and being on this. I'm thinking about retiring after this year. So thank you guys.
I appreciate that. We've had some communication before, and you've been very complimentary of this and what we're doing, and we really appreciate it. As do we from everybody that reaches out to us. Talking about your guys' season, you guys make a great run. You go win a section title. Just kind of talk about your team's accomplishment this year. It's
in year one too.
Yeah, in year one, after the stuff that went down with Coach Garza, who we are big fans of, and you guys said some really good things about him before we started. But taking that team, who also dealt with that situation, and then to go win.
Right. Yeah. So before I coached at Union, I was at FPU, and I loved every minute of it. I didn't want to leave, but this opportunity came up to coach at Washington Union. It's an awesome community. We have a ton of support from the admin and superintendent for baseball. So it's a good place to be. And I knew the group of kids a little bit that I was coming into coaching. And, I think the biggest part of the success we had that I was proud of was just, the fact that everything these kids had been through between 4 different coaches in 4 years and then getting shut down in their junior year and not sure if we were even going to have a season this year, and they just kept working. And so to be able to have an experience like that, to win some playoff games, which this school hasn't won a lot of baseball playoff games the last 10 years, to kind of get to change that narrative a little bit and just experience what we got to was pretty awesome for the kids. And, that's what it's about at the end of the day is it's hard not to make it about us as coaches. And, I'm going to be honest, I had a great group of kids. I don't know if it was anything I did or said. So I was very fortunate to walk into the team that I did, and it was a lot of fun to experience after everything that had happened the last couple of years. So that was cool.
Well, and you guys ended up going up the mountain there, the hill to play Minarets, and their former coach was that. I mean, how was that? Maybe emotional wise. I know talking to Mike, he was excited actually that those kids were able to win. And he said that was a tough, emotional game for him just to go play, but handled it really well. And then what was that like for you guys? Because you guys are friends also.
Right. Yeah. No, I have a lot of respect for him, and our kids have a lot of respect for him. So it was nothing personal. We were at the end of the day just playing baseball, and, it's easy to get caught up in the drama as adults, but if you just focus on putting the kids first and that's what we tried to do. The rest kind of takes care of itself. So, obviously he knew our kids. So I felt like I had to scout a little bit harder to be able to match that level of preparation they had. But it was a lot of fun. Jesse Darr is a great coach. I have so much respect for him. I'm bummed that he's not going to be in the high school game for the time being. But, yeah.
He'll be back. He's got to be back.
I think so, yeah. I talked with him a little bit after that game. I'm like, man, you gotta try the college level because you'd be so good at that. And I hope to see him back there soon. But it was a lot of fun. It was just a great experience. Our community got behind us and supported, like I'm sure you guys experienced at Madera through your run. It's just cool to see people come together and support what you're doing. So,
yeah, I think the other great thing is we were part of the first state playoff.
Right.
Which was really cool. I mean, there's not many that can say 5 can say they're the first. And,
right.
We were both one of them.
And I didn't even know that was a thing until like 3 weeks before the season was over. My AD said, hey, if you guys end up winning Valley, there's these regional games they're going to have. And so I had to cancel a trip I had planned because of that, but it was great. I wouldn't trade it for anything. So.
And you guys made it all the way to the state final game, hosting at home. Came up a little short, but just even talk about that in the community. It looked packed. Oh yeah, and it looked like an exciting game.
The new stadium. I think this was the first official year you guys played in the new stadium all year long.
Right. They had a few games there last year, but obviously got shut down early. I want to say there were like 600 something tickets sold to that game. So, for a school like us to play in front of that many people at home, it was special. I mean, they had to bring bleachers in to down the right field line. If you guys have been to our place, they put in some bleachers there, and those were packed. And it was such a cool environment. I'm so glad the kids got to experience that. But, looking back, it was one of those things that just flies by. You don't even feel like you're in that moment. It's kind of like you're on cloud nine the whole time. And our kids just played good baseball. It's what you love about this game. We weren't the most talented team. We didn't have guys throwing mid-80s. We hit one home run all year as a team, but we just played good baseball when we had to. And that's why we love this game, right? It's not always the most talented team that wins. And so it was fun to see. Our kids were so confident going in. I didn't feel like it mattered if we were facing Max Scherzer that day. We were going to grind out at bats and put balls in play, and that's what we did. And so, championship game, like I said, there's like 600 something people there. It's 108 degrees because the team coming from San Diego didn't want to play a night game for whatever reason. So we go down early. We're losing most of the game. We tie it up in the bottom of the sixth, and I'm thinking we're not losing this game. And so we load the bases up. We have 2 outs. They're hitting in the top of the seventh. Fly ball in foul territory. Our first baseman's camped. Second baseman calls him off. So the first baseman gets out of the way and the ball falls between them. And you just get that feeling like something bad's going to happen now. Next pitch, kid hits a double, and they beat us by a couple of runs. But we were right there. And so I think it was cool to get to experience that and get our kids to kind of believe in themselves and see, man, we're right there. We just got to put in, a little extra this off season and hopefully get back to that stage. But yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Probably helps too, knowing that the community as a whole is such a close-knit community, and they were there, got to witness it, and now, it might rejuvenate the baseball like it used to be,
right.
A big thing in Easton.
Right. And, coming to this place, I knew there was a rich history of baseball. There's obviously been big leaguers and some good talent that's come through. And I hope to get it back to that point, at least that level where we can compete and gain a little bit of respect from people in our area. So I think that was a good step, but we got a lot of work to do. So I'm excited to
that's
take
the fun,
that challenge.
That's the fun part. The work's the fun part. To see, that's why, to know what we had to go through, playing as many games as we had to play, the way the practices had to be designed. You talk about our run to lose 9 straight, to have the hills and valleys,
right.
To see those kids. I've always talked about like celebrating, like being on the last team on the field at the end of the year, and just to see those kids charge the mound and finally, accomplish that. That's one of the best things I've had as a coach.
Right. And I remember playing, one of my coaches told me, because as a player, I didn't think I would even enjoy coaching. I'm like, what's the fun in that? You don't get to be on the field competing. But he said something I'll never forget. He said, it's so much more rewarding to get to be a part of someone else's success and watch them grow and develop. And I've just found that to be so true. It's been so much more enjoyable for me to see these kids succeed, far beyond anything I experienced as a player. So it's cool to be rewarded with that in the first year. I know there's going to be a lot of tough years ahead if I stick around long enough. But I think the coolest thing was just to get to see these kids believe in themselves and learn how to compete and ultimately win some games. So that was cooler than anything I ever thought I'd experience as a coach. So.
Yeah, no, it's awesome, man. And congrats, hats off to you, your staff, the community, and most importantly, your players for making it through, man, making that run and staying together and committing to the process and to get that ultimate goal, man. It's really, that's what you play for. So,
I appreciate that. Thank you.
We have to kind of mention last week, we put out an episode regarding a text message to a player, and again, we're still not going to throw names out there into to the world. People know who it is, and that's fine. And it is what it is. But just kind of talk about one, like your thoughts when you initially saw that, and then even just went into posting that, honestly.
Yeah. So, this is something. I've only been a head coach for a year, so I haven't experienced this per se a ton in the first year, but you hear rumors of things going on, and it's almost always hearsay. It's never physical evidence like I had. So I felt an obligation to put it out there, just because this has gone on for a long time. And, the small schools, the county schools, are the ones that always, get the shaft in the deal. So, so a parent actually reached out to me. They sent me a message. They're like, who is this guy? And I'm just thinking, I know who that is, but I don't know why he's sending that kind of message. And so, it fired me up a little bit, obviously. But then a second parent reached out, like, hey, do you know about this? This person messaged my kids. So it was two. It wasn't just one of my kids, it was two. And so the more I thought about it, the more it pissed me off, because, I put in my post a little bit, these county coaches, they work their ass off to try to build a program to develop kids. And, this is our life. Like, we put so much time into this that when somebody comes and tries to take a little bit of that from you, it's personal. And so, I thought about just messaging him directly, but then I'm thinking, who learns from that? What does that stop? And so,
well, does it stop at that point? Like, you
exactly.
You don't know who
he can say. He can say yes, but
you don't know who they're going to turn around and talk to the next day.
Right. And so I don't expect it to stop after my one tweet, but I just hope that people kind of see the bigger picture in this. This isn't really just about, one school trying to take a player from our school. This is, a bigger thing that this area has dealt with for
bigger than that one person. I think I was
right,
on a forum.
Right.
The issue isn't just the person that we're talking about that did this.
Right.
It's the act. Let's not focus on who. Let's focus on what, because as many people have said, and the 24 hours after we put out our video Saturday, Chad and I couldn't put our phone down. It was non-stop. And I mean, like, coaches that very high level coaches reaching out.
99% loved it. And the 1%,
there's
maybe less, didn't. And we know those came from the school. There
were some high level people that appreciated it, but also the same sentiment. Like, focus on because this is going on. It's not the person so much the issue as it is what's taking place.
Right. And, for me, I just think this is bad for baseball in our area. Rob Bruno runs NorCal. I don't know if you guys know who that is. He reached out to me and said, he called us the Wild West. He said, it's a huge problem there. And it's not everywhere else. In Northern California, this doesn't go on to the extent that it does here. And to me, it waters down the competition. I mean, you're creating these super teams that, win a Valley championship in Division I, 17-4. And, who are they playing? Like, what's the competition like that it takes to get there? And I think in the bigger scheme of things, it makes our area look, worse, because the competition, there's nobody competing with each other anymore. It's, oh, you're a good player. Why don't you go to this school because they're, already established? It's like, I want kids to stay where they're at and say, I want to make this school great. I want to compete with these guys that I grew up with, like you said. So, I know transfers are always going to happen. We've benefited from transfers in the past. I had two kids transfer out last year as soon as I got here. It's just the way it goes, and that's not going to stop. But to me, an adult texting a 14-year-old kid with no prior relationship with him, just kind of shot in the dark before school starts, like, that's a problem to me. I think it's something we need to address, or this area is going to get worse at baseball as a whole, I think.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like, you play where you come from, or, that kind of thing, but the super team is spot on. And I know we had somebody say, oh, there's some more super teams forming. Well, that just seems to be an issue. And if you think about it, the super team started.
And that's not okay.
That's not okay. It's oh, just because another one's starting, you're going to keep doing it. and it's just not okay. The whole situation is not okay. And unless you come from a small school, like, I was fortunate enough, I went to Bullard High School. So, I played in a big Division I school, but then I coached at Madera for, 7 years. I got to experience what it's like to coach kids that don't eat lunch, don't know they're getting home after practice. You have to deal with real shit, not just baseball.
Right.
There's more to us coaching the small schools than just coaching baseball. Mm-hmm. We're trying to get these guys through life. We're trying to get them through high school, if they, depending on who they are. And
right.
Like a lot of these big schools making these super teams, how hard is it really when you got the cream of the crop? Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like you said it perfect. These county coaches and these small put in more work to try to get their team to be good. And I really believe that.
Right.
And it takes the community too.
Right. I'm not going to sit here and say those Division I coaches don't work. Right. They work their ass off.
And I'm not.
And they're phenomenal coaches.
It's different type of work. I had to coach our Babe Ruth team this year just because, that's something that's important to me, is trying to develop these kids at an early age. And so it's just different things we have to do. And we shouldn't have to worry about, is this kid's going playing at this tournament? Who's going to try to recruit him? Who's going to talk to him? Who's his coach? Like, that's something that I feel like shouldn't even be a concern, but it's just where we're at right now in this area of baseball. And it's unfortunate. And I know I'm a nobody in the baseball world. So this isn't about me trying to, make a name for myself. I'm not going to sit here and take this. These county schools have dealt with this for years. They've lost good players. And, I felt like I should say something about it, at least get people talking. At least, maybe people will think twice now before they text a Washington Union kid. That's all I can hope for. But, it's a problem. So
I think now it's going to start encouraging more people to maybe speak up when they see it, because it's not okay. Like we've talked numerous times, like transferring on your own, you don't need to justify that. It's no different than a coach going to another school. They don't have to justify why they leave.
Right.
Like people are going to say, oh, it's athletically motivated. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't, and in our conversations, that's never been the issue. Like if you transfer, you transfer. Just be honest about why you do it.
Right.
Don't blow smoke. If you're leaving a pretty good team to go to an even better team, why are you leaving a good team already? Like it's right. Purely, so this is blatant. Like this was deliberate. This was,
right.
And so that's a problem, right? If that's why you transfer, yeah, we're gonna have a problem with that, right? If you transfer because of coaching staff or in this case, it was I don't even know
a family member.
Yeah, a family member tied to the program. Like either way, there's history within that program. That's a problem. You can't do that stuff. So yeah, we're going to call that out, but I'm not going to just sit here and we're not going to sit here and go through every kid that leaves the school to go to another school.
Right. Yeah.
Just because of, and people are going to say why they think that happened. That's fine. Prove it. That's all we want. And you gave us that.
Right. Yeah. And so that's why I felt like this case was different, because it was just so blatant. It was a person that had no relationship with these kids. And those weren't the only two kids that got messages from that person. I talked to those kids and they're like, yeah, my buddy at this place got one. My buddy at this, like, it was just like, what are you just emailing lists of travel teams now and seeing who's not happy with where they're at? Like, there's just so much wrong with that. And it kind of shows where we're at as a society, where it's like, no, don't stay at Washington Union and try to build. Just go to Buchanan. They've already got it. They've got 17 uniforms and, 2 weight rooms, whatever they have that we don't. It's like, there's just so much wrong with that. And I think it's going to ultimately make our area worse as a result of that. So I want it to stop.
Yeah, no, I agree. And we've had multiple Buchanan players on this podcast, Austin Young being the one that came out recently. They're fantastic kids.
Right.
Great kids. All of them. Brock Jones was a blast to talk to. Sky Collins, all of them. Mm-hmm. We've had nothing but great kids, and we love their coaching. Brad Fonts is awesome. I'm a big fan of Brad. So yeah, it sucks because it's a negative like stigma they got to deal with. But you're right. It does have to stop too. Like I'll say this, in some of the messages we've got over the weekend, there's been some affiliated with that program that loved it because their kid was affected by transfers coming into
Well, yeah, that to me, that I don't know why that's not more of an issue. Why do these parents at these schools?
Oh, trust me, we heard it.
I had a parent, I'll say it. I had a parent, I won't give names. She said, I really loved you guys coming out and doing this because my kid has gone through
the system,
Buchanan
Right.
Elementary, Alta Sierra, and Buchanan, and was a starter at every level. And then when he got to varsity, here comes a transfer or recruit, she said, either one, she doesn't know, and took his position.
Right.
And now he has to sit and deal with that when he was a good player.
Right.
Like, you know, just develop your players in your system and make them good. And she even asked her son, she's like, do you want to leave? Like, if this is happening, he's like, no, I don't want to go somewhere that I've been wanting to beat up these schools forever. I'm just going to, you know.
No, because he bought into
Buchanan.
He bought into the what is they preach.
Their program.
You know, it's, you know, you still compete. You still got to earn your spot. And then that doesn't change.
But it's a lot tougher when they bring somebody in to take your spot.
It is.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And like you said, develop what you have. And you know what? Listen, that's what we had to do. Right?
Nobody's gone from these premier D1 schools and be like, hey, I'm going to transfer to Washington Union.
I told
I'm going
Chad
to transfer to Madera. You know what I mean?
There was some back and forth going on. And my only question is, and this just has to do with the program itself. How many players have they lost to another school versus players coming in? How many players have left Buchanan to go to Clovis North versus players that left to go there? I can't name any that are legit.
That's just facts.
That can't name a one.
Yeah, I don't know of any.
I can't name any. Show me some names. Tell me.
Unless it was like a family move or something. It just wouldn't work out legit. I can't think of any though. Going that direction.
I'm talking about Division I commitments. I mean, just legit players. How many transfer out?
None.
I can't name one.
And like everybody acts like our city, where we're from, the Fresno, the Valley, is the commute's so far that they have to move their entire family. Like I have a problem with that. You know, Mulligan lives over in Harlan Ranch and drives 45 minutes to Central every day. Like, I mean, Coach Purse, even though he's at Reedley, he lives in Clovis and drives to Reedley. I mean, it's done. People do it. People drive to their jobs and promotions or whatever the hell they get. Like, it's just an excuse. Like, and it's like, oh, the boundaries of Buchanan's the only place you could move into a house. Like, that's just okay. That makes a lot of sense. It's just funny.
Yeah,
and I think the bigger issue too is, you know, a lot of these people are preying on parents that just don't know how things work. I mean, you guys have said it before, so I don't want to keep hammering the point, but if you're a good player, you're going to get noticed. I have kids coming in that, you know, Oregon State's calling me asking about this kid. Like, they know he's here. They don't care that he plays at Washington Union. It's if you're good enough, you're going to get seen, and these parents don't understand. Like, sure, maybe there are a couple extra opportunities there that other schools don't have, but if your kid's a good player, people are going to talk. People know about it. People are going to know about him. People are going to come watch him. So you don't have to go to those schools to get seen. That's kind of what I think is the bigger issue here, is these parents that just think, oh, my kid needs to go D1. He has to go to this school. That's not how it works.
Yeah, and those guys wouldn't be doing their jobs well if they weren't aware of who's where.
Right.
So,
sure. Exactly.
Before we let you go, I know you got to go. You got one good purse story for us? I know there's probably many. I just give me one.
Oh man, you put me on the spot. I've got
if
so
not,
many.
We'll do this again. We'll do this again. If
yeah,
not,
I do have one. But yeah, there's so many. We could do hours on.
That could be its own show, probably.
But yeah, what I loved about Purse was just he set the mentality. He brought it. You know, everybody knew what to expect. The level of focus at practice was just unmatched because he expected that of you. He demanded the best. So he came into Reedley 2011, and people forget Reedley College used to be terrible. I mean, they were like 3-33 the year before that or something. So Purse comes in. I come into Reedley. We're playing fall inter-squad, like late October, early November, and it's 5:36 at night. It's completely dark, and it's probably 48 degrees outside. I mean, it's cold. Nobody wants to be there, type of deal. And and I can't even remember who was hitting, but they're standing in the box, and somebody hangs a curveball that's, coming right at them, probably going to hit them, and they bail on it. And so, nobody said anything, nothing happened. Next pitch, same thing, fastball inside, guy gets out of the way, and Purse just loses it. He slams his clipboard down, runs out to the field, and he tosses the ball to the pitcher. He says, "Throw that at me." And so the pitcher just kind of lobs it over to him, and he shuffles over and just wears it in the chest. And he picks it up again. He's like, "No, damn it, throw it harder." And so the guy throws it, like a batting practice fastball, and Purse shuffles, gets in the way of it, wears it out, kind of like Happy Gilmore, wears it off the chest. And then he picks it up, throws it again. He's like, "Throw it as hard as you effing can." And the guy just brings it. Purse wears it off the chest and he yells it out. He's like, "Did that hurt?" He's like, "Hell yeah, it hurt, but did I get out of the way?" "No." And then he just goes back in the dugout, sits down, and the mood the rest of the day was like, all right, nobody better get out of the way of a ball or he's gonna lose it. So
but that probably applied to like everything you guys did at that point.
Right. No, and that's just the mentality. I mean, there's every day you could come up with a story, but just the toughness he brings and the attention to detail is unmatched. So, I got to play for him that first year, and we went like 500. I got to coach with him a few years later, and we made it to the playoffs for the first time in like 53 years. So, him and Essie and what they're doing out there is awesome. So I was very fortunate to be a part of that. But I've got so many Purse stories that, just he's a character. So
he is old Red. Good dude. Now, Coach, I appreciate you taking some time this morning. I know you got to get to some meetings, but we'll do this again. And listen, I know that wasn't easy to do what you did. And, there was some, anybody out there that's privately messaging anybody and harassing them, that needs to stop. That was never the intent to bring this to light. And none of us condone that behavior. So I think we all can agree that stuff needs to stop. And we can handle this in other ways. And everybody kind of reacted a little emotional to it, us included. But again, this is high school baseball at the end of the day, but some things need to start changing. And so we appreciate you putting your name out there and your neck on the line to do what you did. Yeah, I appreciate it. And I'm not one that particularly likes drama. I don't want to be in the spotlight or anything. I'd rather just coach baseball and people leave me alone. But, it becomes personal when people are trying to take something that's yours and something that you poured so much time into. And so I'm going to say something. I'm going to stick up. And you're in a building process too. You're in a building process. So right. So I appreciate you guys sticking up for the little guy here. I think it's important. And, like I said, ultimately, I think it's going to make our area better the more competitive all these places are. So thank you guys for the opportunity. I appreciate it. No problem, man. Enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll be in touch. Thanks, Coach. Coach Fox, Hit or Die podcast, guys. Hit or Die.